computer audio. You are using computer audio. So just started again for a third time, and now you know what I'm saying. So welcome. I'm gonna go over sculpture this week. Last week went over self-portraits, and I'm hoping that each time we meet, you learn a little bit more about art that you didn't know before. So here we go. We're gonna talk about sculpture, and what you need to know about sculpture is that it is not flat like a piece of paper. We are gonna talk about sculpture that you can walk completely around. That is 3D sculpture. So bas relief is a combination of 2D and 3D. So it's something flat on the wall or on the surface, and it gets raised above. Usually it's against the wall, and you could look at it from the side and see how it protrudes out, but you couldn't walk around. If you tried to walk around, like a poof, you'd bang into the wall. That wouldn't work. It would hurt too. So we're going to talk about the different types of sculpture. So we have our bas relief sculpture. We have our regular 3D in the round sculpture. There's some different sculptures we're going to explore right now. This sculpture is nature sculpture. It is found outside. This gentleman, Andrew Goldsworthy, is well known for this sort of art. He takes things from the outside, trees, branches, rocks. He stacks rocks. He weaves branches. This is one of the examples, and you can see how big the trees are on the outside edge. So you can see that it is rather large. He also did another piece. It kind of looks like a big prickle bear. It's along the water, really kind of cool, and balances on itself. So there's the way he wove them together, keeps it together. There is another type of art, which we can talk about, where you find things outside and create art. So this is a large sculpture. It's actually a full piece of a person, and I can't quite figure out how to make it small enough to fit on the page. So they just took leaves and outlined themselves, or sticks and outlined their body, and then carefully stood up and filled it in with leaves. There's another one using outside products, and they took the leaves and created a circle, kind of like the original Andrew Goldsworthy, but just like on a much smaller scale. So you could do that sort of thing. I'm going to go back to my blank screen and show you something my daughter did a long time ago. I happen to have here in our art room. That's our art room behind us, and you can see some self-portraits back there that we chose. And then the theme for the bulletin board up there is travel. But here is the sculpture she created using branches from outside, okay? And she hot glued them, and then she used some moss. And if you turn it around, you can see some beads that she wove through the sculpture. She has some wire that she wrapped around some of the branches. So you could use just about anything you find outside. If you have seashells, or if you have pine cones, you could create pine cones in a circular pattern. Mandalas is a type of circular artwork. Sometimes you see them in the coloring books for adults and children, but you can use leaves to create repeating patterns, pine cones and rocks, seashells. You could use the sticks as well. So that is something to consider doing. This artwork is done outside as well, and this is interesting. This is done by an older woman when she was about 86 or 89, and it is to honor her mom, a big yucky spider to honor her mom. But it does, because her mom was a upholstery fixer, a tapestry restoration is the key word really, but she fixed fabric. And if you think about it, spiders, they spin webs, which kind of look like fabric. And so this big spider is to honor her mother. A little creepy, but kind of cool. And that can be done. Actually, you know what? I think she did some smaller ones too, some different sizes. Here is another sculptor. His name is Alexander Calder, and his sculptures come in many different sizes. But the things that are in common are that they're linear sculptures. They're made out of lines, a continuous line. And now in the 5th and 6th grade, I think I talked about contour drawing with a continuous line. And so this is another example of that same sort of thing. So they take wire and they continually wrap it. And this is called the circus. Now, if you're really interested in getting a better understanding of this particular artwork, The Circus by Alexander Calder, is also a video that you can watch and see how he creates it and see how it moves in real life. Most of his sculptures are ginormous. I know that's a kid word, but it's true. They usually fill large foyers of big office buildings, art museums, and stadiums, like indoor and outdoor stadiums. So he is very interesting. He does a lot of primary colors when he does his large kinetic sculptures. This artwork here will make you question yourself. So this is Marcel Duchamp. He also did another piece of artwork, and it is a signed urinal. It is in the Philadelphia Art Museum. So if you want to get your kids to the art museum to look at some pretty neat artworks, along with Monet's gardens, there's some questionable things like his. So if you look at this, it's just a bicycle wheel on a stool. Do you really think that represents art, or does it make you look at that object differently? So now we're going to talk about some modern art, and I want to show you another artist that makes you look at things differently. So this is, let's mirror my video, dun, 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 and it's right. So his name is Andy Warhol, and he's a pop artist. He takes everyday objects and puts them on the pedestal, per se, or puts them on artwork and repeats it over and over again. Just the image of Campbell's soup can is another one of his. And Marilyn Monroe is a silkscreen print of her over and over again. But the Brillo pad that you see here is for you to look at it and look at it as a different image. Like, is it an icon of the world at that point? Is it the color choices? Is it a design element? Or is it him just snubbing his nose at art? So you have to look at things and take it how you want. Another artist that makes you look at things differently. Oh, so going on that, you could basically just put all of your cat food or dog food in a row and take a picture of it and tell me that's your sculpture. It's your choice. The outdoor sculpture is a lot of fun, especially if we get a nice day like tomorrow, because it rained all day today. And there's another artist coming up that does something similar in questioning things. So this gentleman, Christo, and his wife, they wrapped objects, like literally wrapped bridges and monuments and islands, like real life islands, like wrapped them in pink. One of the islands that he did, people made fun of it because he wrapped it in like the Pepto-Bismol pink, like the bubblegum pink. Really interesting. He also took yellow fabric and made like a natural walkway around the island from the mainland. So this one is a bridge wrapped, and he makes you question the form. Now it becomes not the bridge, but it becomes a form. So an idea for you is maybe you could stack all of your sneakers and lay a towel over it and maybe wrap it with your belt. And now you're looking at the mound of sneakers. You're not looking at the sneakers in particular and the details of the sneakers. You're looking at the mound of sneakers. You could take a chair and wrap a sheet around it. And now you're not just looking at the chair and the spindles and the legs and maybe the wooden color, the shape of it, or the color of the chair. Now you're looking at the form of the chair. So you could take an object or even a pile of toothbrushes and put tissues around it and wrap it with twist ties and call it art. And you'll look at it differently. He also, the same artist, Christo, I hope I have it in this display here. Here it is. This is actually another one that you could go further in and get a deeper look. So this is called The Gate, and it's in Central Park in New York City. And there is a whole like Today show or 60 Minutes episode you could go ahead and research. So he took these yellow or these orange fabric and he made a walkway all through Central Park so that you could become immersed in the art. So this is really interesting. So how could you do this in your house? Could you hang sheets from door to door or towels from each doorway to each doorway and make your family walk through it? That's something to think about. I don't know. Or string. Could you wrap string from door to door and make people walk through the house differently? It's really kind of cool. I liked him. I've always liked him for some reason. Let's go. Here's some other artwork. So this is actual and a bas relief. So this is a good example of a bas relief. This is Untitled, or The Stack. Can't remember who this is by. I want to say John Cage, and I know I'm wrong, so I have to come back to me. But it is called Untitled, but the unofficial title is the stack. And that is a bas relief because you can't walk completely around it. You can only see it from the sides. And it's just boxes stacked evenly along the wall and painted that beautiful turquoise color. So again, making you look at things differently. This one is well known. It's in Chicago, and it is in the center of the city. They call it the Lima Bean, like the unofficial title. And it is made of reflective metals, and it sits in the center of this paved area, and people come in and they can see the reflection of themselves and everything around it. So it's another way to get immersed within the art and have it, you become one with the city. However, interestingly enough, about 2 years ago, they painted it black and took the reflection away. Since then, I don't honestly know if they have fixed it and buffed it back up to shine, but that was a big controversial outcry from all the public, like, why would you do this? And how dare you? These are really interesting. I'm going to go to a classic sculpture. There you go. Statue of Liberty, representing us and everything about us, the Freedom Ring. So we have this historical sculpture, Stonehenge. Okay, that is supposed to be an, they say it's an ancient sundial. So this is a better picture showing you the different sizes of the Stonehenge and how big they are. How do you think? Good research question. How did they actually get those large rocks that weighed about 25 tons, 50 tons each to stand up? And I actually found out how, and I will see if anybody's willing to look it up. But the fun flip side is there is an area out, it's called, where is it? I wrote it down. So this is, the one is called Cadillac Ranch. I can't remember what this one is called, but this was done at a family reunion. They did it in honor of the dad, I believe. And originally it was not painted gray. The next year they came back and painted it gray, and the town did not want to have it anymore, but then they came to accept it. And now there's like a visitor center and they collect money for it. Here it is on a larger scale. They also, I'm gonna mirror the image to get my head out of the way. Oh, didn't work. And so I'll go this way. And if you see, right, wait, I don't know how to do it. Let me try flipping it again. Right, I get myself right there. That's the heel dun, 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 of the dial. And originally they had antique cars in there, and then they decided for some reason that that was unacceptable. They moved the antique cars from the heel and 2 other spots. There's 3 antique cars, and they moved them and had like a formal burial for them. I have no idea why, I can't remember. I thought that was odd. And then replaced them with different cars. So then there was another place, now this is Cadillac Ranch, that at the same exact time, within like 6 months to a year of each other, came up with the same idea and buried Cadillacs in a row. I think it's Nebraska, just to pay homage to Stonehenge. And there it is. You can drive by and see it. The other one's a little bit off the beaten path, so I don't think you can see it. Oh, here's another, I'm gonna backtrack. Here's another one of the images. So you could lay out all of the leaves and acorns and pine cones in your yard and create this beautiful, organized artwork. I think it's stunning. It just shows how purposeful it is. And it gives you an idea of the beauty of nature. It's just wonderful. Here's another large artwork we're all familiar with. Da-da-da, the pyramids, right? This one is the thinker, and you can't see him thinking. So an idea would be that maybe you could take yourself, oh, I'm sorry, let's finish this up. You could take yourself or a friend, or not a friend, 6 feet social distancing. Actually, you probably could. You could take your neighbor and have them sit on the step and think. Or you could have your neighbor go ahead and do some dance moves, or maybe your brother or sister takes dance classes. And Edgar Degas is famous for his ballerina dancers. He studied them. He's modeled most of his ballet sculptures after a 14-year-old young lady. So that is an so you could do a sculpture like that, sculpture like this. I don't believe that you can get a sculpture like this unless, of course, you use your dog and cat. That would be pretty fun, right? Take a picture of that and call it your sculpture. But these ideas here is if you had Matchbox cars or toy cars, you could line them up in a row and call that your Stonehenge. This was discovered, very interesting enough, they unburied one of those terracotta sculptures. They are life-size, and then they continued and they found an entire army and horses, and it's just incredible. You could Google that, and that is an interesting read as well. Really interesting. And it's just enormous. What else do I have left to talk to you about? I'm looking on my little thing here. I think I may have covered them all. Okay, so after all that hoo-ha, your goal is for you to create a sculpture. So I'm looking for, you can do something out in nature. You could use your toys. You could do some wire and use some linear sculpture. You could even, stack toilet paper. How can we look at toilet paper different? You know, are you going to use the toilet paper rolls, the paper towel rolls, the tissue boxes, paper products? How could you show us how you look at paper products differently? You know, are you going to stack it or put it on a pedestal and put it on a stool? I mean, it'd be so interesting to see how this comes out. So I think I said you could wrap items, which would be cool. You could go out in nature and create some items. Oh, the Lego sculptures, right. So one more thing. How about some Lego sculptures, folks? If you have Legos or Connects, it'd be awesome if you created your own sculpture. Some dog sculptures here, that would be incredible. You can take a whole kit and quite frankly recreate one of your kits. Don't take your brother's like Death Star and say you made it, unless you did. No, that counts. Mrs. Bittler, I think I heard that she bought one of the Lego kits, and that would be a really cool sculpture. I'd love to see that when she's done. So Mrs. Bittler, that's me saying get it done. Here is a cardboard guitar by Pablo Picasso, so you can use cardboard. There are so many options. So what I will do is I will download a Google Doc for your class or your grade with instructions and options for you to create a sculpture. And hopefully I gave you some fun little history of sculpture. Not quite sure if you listened to the whole thing, but I wanted to have you see my face and hear my voice, and I cannot wait to see you again next week. What I'm really looking forward to is your artwork. And I did get a lot of self-portraits, so if you still have time, send them to me. I'd love to see them. And there we go. And I'm out. I can't wait to see you and all of your work. Stop the recording.